Welcome to another Wednesday's Word. In my Bible reading, I'm following the daily audio Bible plan again this year. I'm moving from the book of Genesis into Exodus. And what's interesting is you really get to see God working through people. It's easy to get caught up in all the big stories of creation, Noah and the flood, Abraham and the call to sacrifice Isaac, birds being parted, Jacob and all of his conniving and tricking. But when you get to Joseph especially, I see a real person that I can more relate to. I can't relate to what Abraham went through or what Jacob went through, but I know what it's like to sometimes feel betrayed, to put your head down and wonder if anybody notices, to work in obscurity, to just do all the little stuff. And then what Joseph sees is that things are completely reversed for him. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago in a sermon, but if you missed it, let me just recap it. That's not always the promise. The promise is not always that God will turn our faithfulness into financial fruitfulness and our betrayal into blessings. The promise is that all of our suffering, all the obscurity, all the unanswered prayers will conform us to the image of Christ. Now, sometimes God does reverse our fortunes. Sometimes God does restore. And I've seen that in my own life, things that had been taken from me that have been given back in ways I never could have imagined, and in ways that are just incredibly gracious of God. But deeper than that, all the ups and downs conform us to the image of Christ. And many commentators talk about, I know Joseph is not a perfect person, but we don't focus on his sins and shortcomings. In the Old Testament, he's one of the people who most closely resembles Jesus. And a lot of it is because he suffered well. Yes, he saw blessings. Yes, he was promoted. He had sons. He became the second in command of Egypt. But even if none of that had happened, he still followed God. He followed God when he was betrayed. He was following God when he was sold as a slave. He followed God when Potiphar's wife accused him. He followed God when he was called to interpret a dream with Pharaoh, with no promise that it was going to turn into a promotion or get him out of prison. He just followed God. And in all of that, he saw that what they had meant for evil, God meant for good. Not just for the saving of people from a famine, but from saving his own soul from the sins of pride and arrogance and self-pity, all the things that a person would fall into. And so right now, I don't know where you are in your story. If you're in the middle of a season of loss or a season of blessing, but those circumstances aside, look further than that at what God is doing in and through you. He's turning blessings into the image of Christ. And he's turning your burdens and loneliness into that. I know many people who are dealing with health issues right now, or the health of loved ones that is so difficult. I know many people are concerned about political situation or overjoyed about the political situation right now. All of that is just grist for the mill that will make us more like Jesus. So focused on him. That's all I got for you this week. God bless.